Okay, so my goal for this video is to leave you feeling confident and excited for one of your upcoming exams, or all of them. Because here's a scenario that used to happen to me a lot in IGCSEs, back in high school, IB, and even in university a lot of the time. Sometimes I would get into this scenario. So the exams would be like a week or two away, 3 weeks away, sometimes even. And I had left pretty much all my study to the last moment. I had to be constantly switched on. You know, if my friends asked me, hey, do you want to go do this thing? Do you want to do this thing? I had to say no, because I had to always be constantly studying. Like, I remember I would miss parties. I would miss such fun events because I had to use every moment I could, because I only had like a week or two. And I always wanted to get straight A's. So I really had to be focused during this period. Even though I knew I had to be switched on all the time, I would still distract myself a lot of the day. I would still procrastinate, coming up with excuses like, oh, you know, today I woke up bad. Let's just study tomorrow. Let's just study later at nighttime. A big thing. It would take me like 4 hours in the morning just to get started studying. I would wake up, I would go to the toilet, and somehow 4 hours would disappear till I actually begin studying, or 5 hours, 6 hours. But then if I even could start studying, I wouldn't even know where to begin. I had like 12 weeks of material per subject. Okay, so I'm going to go through all these things that I mentioned here in this video, and hopefully in as little time as possible, I'm going to leave you feeling confident for your upcoming exam. And by the way, if my videos have helped you a lot and you trust me, check out the first link in the description where I can help you master your mind and get your dream grades. So the first tip I want to give you here when it comes to preparing for your exams is know your priority. So I'm going to go into this. So right now, where you are right now, point A, and point B, whatever grade you want to get on your final exam. This is a journey, right? This is a journey. But the thing is, in a journey, you can only take one step at a time. Now, what is this metaphor that I'm giving here? I'm going to explain exactly. So right now, a lot of the stress that's being caused in you, a lot of the time that you're wasting in your studies is simply because you don't know the next step that you need to take. Right now, you're focused on the end, maybe. You're like, oh, I'm going to fail this exam. Oh, I should have studied earlier. Oh, this is going to be so hard. What's going to be on the exam? I don't know what topic to study. What do I do? You know, you're considering every possible scenario. Your mind's going into the future, worrying about what's going to happen. And I'm sure we logically understand that right now, all we should do is focus on what we can control. And what we can control right now is sitting down and studying on the most important task right now. Now, I know this sounds obvious, like logically we understand, this makes sense. But how do we practically get out of our mind? Because our mind is constantly making us scared. It's constantly, we don't know where to begin with our studies. So here is the thing I can tell you. Basically, how do you find that next step so you can begin the journey onto your dream grades stress-free? Okay, so the first thing to understand is right now you've probably got like, let's say 4 subjects. One of these subjects right now is gonna be your priority. So let me give you an example. First semester, first year of university, I had 4 subjects. One of them I was pretty competent in, it was Russian. Another one was physics. I was relatively competent in. I knew I could do the subject in like 3 days. Then there was computing, which I knew would take me about a week to study. And then there was calculus, which I knew would take me like a week to study. So I had a list of priorities here. So I had 4 subjects. 2 of them were urgent. 2 of them took a long time because I was so bad in them. And 2 of them I was pretty competent in. So right now you need to decide which subjects are your priorities. Which are the ones that you're the worst at? So how do we, because here's the problem that students do when they come to study for their exams. They might pick a priority subject. They might realize, okay, calculus is the one I'm furthest behind in. Let's start with calculus. But then they start on lecture 1, chapter 1. That takes them a couple days. Then chapter 2 takes them a couple days. Chapter 3 takes them a couple days. Then they've only got like 2 days left to do like 8 chapters because they've focused on the first few chapters. This is the wrong way to do it. The correct way to do it is to jump straight away into the chapter that either 1, you're worst at, or 2, is going to be the heaviest weighted on the exam. Because the reality about most subjects is some topics are going to be weighted more highly on the exam than others. So how do you find the highest impact topics? Basically, through past papers. Past papers are like the Bible. They are literally a simulation of what you're going to encounter in the final exam. So if you're lucky enough to have a bunch of past papers in your access, then you can look at them and you can see which topics consistently will turn up on exams. Because what I found was often there would be like one topic which was huge on the exam. It would be worth like a third of the exam, and it would always be there every single year, because the teachers like to milk just like one topic. And sometimes there would be a topic, usually like topic 1 or the final topic, which would be on like every second paper. And when it was on the paper, it would be worth very, very little. So literally, this is the mistake students make. They think that the past papers are something that they do to practice for the exams. Now that's 100% correct, but you should be using them from the beginning, because past papers are literally a guide. They're literally a simulation of what you're going to encounter in that final exam. Would you train for tennis without ever playing on a tennis court, without ever holding a tennis racket, without ever hitting a tennis ball? You wouldn't, right? To practice for tennis, if you were going to go into a tennis competition, you would practice by playing tennis. You wouldn't practice by watching YouTube on tennis. You would like be out there on the court training. That's what a past paper is. A past paper is literally you out there on the court training for your final exam. The lectures are not a 100% representation of what's going to be on the final exam most of the time. So you need to be using your past papers as like a guide. When you become clear on what your next step is, a lot of your stress goes away, because it's clear. It's like, okay, now I need to do this topic. Okay, so that's the first tip. The second tip is kind of related though. Just because you know what you need to do, like maybe you know you need to do this essay, maybe you know you need to study this one topic for this test, it doesn't mean you're going to feel calm and you're going to be able to sit down and do it. You're probably still going to procrastinate. You're still going to do random shit. So the second tip I can give you is, how do we clear our mind from these fears and focus on what we can control? Okay, so what you need to realize is it's possible that this task that you've got may still feel daunting in your mind, and you might be procrastinating. So here's what you need to understand about procrastination. Procrastination is your mind playing tricks on you to get you to avoid some kind of negative emotion, often fear. Could be boredom, any of these things. For example, you think you're going to fail on the exam. So your brain tells you, bro, let's just do it tomorrow, because it doesn't want you to study. Because if you study for the exam, if you study hard for the exam and you fail, then your fears came true. You realize you're a failure because you studied hard and you still did terribly. So what your brain does, it makes you not study. So at least if you failed, it's justified. It's like, bro, yeah, I failed the exam because I didn't study much, bro. I didn't study much. Compared to if you studied a lot and you failed, you would feel worse. So procrastination is saving you from that pain of feeling bad about failing, because it thinks you're going to fail. So you've got a fear of failure. That's one possible source of procrastination. But the point is, you've got some fear, some negative emotion you're avoiding with your work. That's why you're procrastinating. So we can brute force through this. We can get you sitting down. We can get you studying. But why not get to the depths of your mind and understand what this fear is? Because if you can understand what the fear is at the root, you can destroy it. Because somebody who is fearless, somebody who has zero fears, someone who's mentally calm, they don't struggle with procrastination. They don't struggle with focus. They can just sit down and do it because there's nothing stopping them. So here's what you can do. Now, ideally, you would get more of a mental health habit in place, so you would actually like work on your mind a lot more. And I'm really going to help you with that a lot in my school. So check out the first thing in the description. But for now, I can give you this one massive tip to help you. So journaling is literally a 10 out of 10 habit that you can use to help you understand your mind. Because right now, there's probably one dominating thought that's playing in your mind when you procrastinate. You might not be aware of this thought, but there is something that's looping in your mind. If you can find what that is and you can get it down onto paper, because when you get it down on paper, you essentially see yourself as a different person. So you know when your friend is going through like a tough situation, right? And they explain the situation to you. You can deal with their situation pretty calmly because you see it from an outside perspective. You can like coach them without getting involved with their pain, if that makes sense. So when you journal, it's kind of like this. You write down your thoughts and you get your fears onto paper and you get really clear on what it is that's holding you back. So journaling, it might seem like a lame habit, like why would I write down on paper? I just need to study, bro. But it will help you overcome your mental blockages and make it literally smooth. Make you feel good to actually sit down and study. Because if you don't destroy your fears now, they're gonna keep coming back to you next semester, next exam, in your job, in your future life. So you will have to deal with them eventually, so why not now? So literally, here's the habit. Just have a journal. Literally, it doesn't have to be some fancy notebook. It can literally just be like this thin ass book. And literally for 5 minutes before you start studying, just write your thoughts down, dump your thoughts onto paper, and see if you can find some kind of pattern. See if you can find the fear that's blocking you from sitting down and studying. Okay, so the final tip I want to give you here, the video's getting a bit long. I don't want to take you up too much of your time. Here's how you properly rest during your exam season. So I'm sure we all know rest is essential. We need to rest. And focus, your brain is a muscle. So to use your muscle to its best ability, you need to rest it to its best ability. Just like an athlete trains hard, they also rest hard. So you might be in a situation where you think you're resting too much. You know, you're procrastinating all day. You don't need any more rest, right? You need more study. But here's the thing. When you watch Netflix, when in the back of your mind you know you should be studying, this is not proper rest. You are stressed. What we need is you need a proper rest period where you can actually decompress guilt-free. And here's the thing, if you put in this intentional rest period, so this is the tip, by the way, intentional rest. If you put in this intentional rest period where you actually take a rest guilt-free, then you're less likely to mess around throughout the rest of the day. It's kind of like a pressure valve where you can release that pressure that you're building up throughout the day. If you're just constantly switched on all day, you don't have that pressure valve. So you're going to be tempted to procrastinate all day long. You're going to do these micro rests where you're micro distracting yourself, but you're still stressed. So here's the tip. Literally in the middle of your day, somewhere in your day, put a block intentionally where you are not going to study during that period. So for example, I like to plan a session with my friends, or I like to plan like, okay, I'm going to go exercise at this time. I'm going to go for a walk at this time, cook. You can even like watch Netflix, do whatever you want. Ideally, like if you cook to exercise, that would help you for your future focus sessions. But the point is, you have to do it guilt-free. You have to literally decompress and actually use that rest period. 2 reasons why it'll help you. The first thing is you are resting your focus muscles. You're letting your stress leave your system. And so when you come back to your next session, it's going to be way stronger, way better. That's the first reason it's so effective. The second reason it's so effective is because of this thing called Parkinson's law. Basically, if you give yourself less time in the day to study, you are going to study in that time way more effectively. So like I said in the beginning of the video, I would wake up and I would mess around for like 4 hours. This is Parkinson's law in action, because I gave myself the whole day to study. Therefore, I would study really, really thinly. But if I instead gave myself like less time to study, I would study way more intensely because I had less time. So that's what you do. You literally put a block in the middle of the day where you say, okay, I'm not going to study here. So that period before the block is way more pressured, way more intense. So when you're in this block before your rest, you're more urgently going to work because you know, oh, the rest is coming. I got to do something. It feels so good. You're literally like cooking. You're literally going for a walk, completely guilt-free because you know you worked hard earlier in the day and you know you're going to work hard later. But good luck with your exam. And first thing in the description, that's my school where I will literally help you, give you more personal help on not only your mental health and overcoming and helping you strengthen your mind, but help you be more productive as well. So even if you're going into summer holidays, it can still help you if you've got goals that you're working on. So check it out, first thing in the description. If my videos have helped you and you want more personal help from me, and there's going to be a discount for the first few people that join, because I want to keep the community nice and tight, not too many people. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, just check it out. Otherwise, see you later.